Greetings friends, today I will briefly tell you about the 2006 horror movie, Black Christmas. Enjoy watching it. The movie starts with Claire who is trying a red wine and preparing a present for a certain Lee, but strange rustles start coming from the closet and after checking it over there is nothing to be found. Then the girl quietly returns to the floor and a bag is thrown over her and a pin pierces her skull. At the psychiatric hospital, the department for the socially insecure, an employee rolls out a cart to wish patients a Merry Christmas, but a bag of milk falls off and props up the door. And while he's handing out presents, Santa Claus drops in behind him, lost because he was looking for the children's department. But when he spots William Lanza's name on the camera, he wonders if it's him, because the TV news said he's dead, because he's well worth the punishment for killing his whole family about 20 years ago. But every Christmas his cell is only covered with a latch to make him feel at home, since his mother always locked him in the attic, and he was also made a dinner that resembled his mother's meat. At the ladies' frat house, the women talk over where their girlfriends have gone to celebrate Christmas, and recall Claire. They know she is writing a letter to her sister Lee, however she should have been back a long time ago. At the mental hospital, a box forms from Will's cell, in which Will gives his word that he will meet this Christmas at his house, but when the guard comes in to check where he is, he finds a hole in the wall and William destroys the guard with the candy he was brought for dinner. The women knock on Claire's room, but she understandably doesn't answer, and then they go to Megan, who is watching her family video with Kyle, Kelly's boyfriend, and hears noises in the attic. She of course goes up to check and finds Claire there with a bag over her head, but she is also grabbed from behind and hit with a wreath from the top of a fir tree and then have her eyeballs ripped out. Santa Claus was walking around the treatment facility and thought of meeting a nurse, but William showed up behind him and a little later threw the former Santa's torso in the trash. The women told gruesome New Year's Eve stories and were reminded of a former native of the house who had mercilessly killed his own family. We are transported to the distant past of 1970. The boy's mother in no way wanted such a son. She saw in him a spouse she did not love at all. And at Christmas 1975, the mother was very pessimistic views, telling her son that Santa was hit by a rocket, but the father immediately sends his son upstairs, where Will found a box along with a signature from Santa. However, immediately he heard Mom's boat come in and there was a disagreement between Dad and Mom, and when Will got out of the room, he noticed Mom hammering Dad with a bag over his head. And when he hid in the closet, he heard strange noises in the hole. It turned out that Mom was there burying a corpse with her lover, and of course she noticed him. Will climbed into the attic, and there, his mother locked up her only witness. Back in our time, the girls get a strange phone call with a scary voice, and it turns out to be from Claire's room. Heather is about to call the police, but there is an argument between her friends and Heather leaves. But she meets Eva, who contributed a moment of awkward silence and a gift to Heather, after which she leaves. We go back to 1982, when Will's mother was making love with her stepfather on the stairs, but he fell asleep as usual. Then it was time to check on her son in the attic and make love to him. 9 months later she had a daughter, Agnes, whom the mother began to think of as her new family. After that, Mrs. Meg wants to make Eva happy with a present, but she also disappears. And while the women were talking, someone sneaks into their apartment. Heather is packing her things at this point and listens to the news that the connection may have been lost. But downstairs the bell rings again, this time from Megan's room. When the girls open the door they observe an outline, so they scream and the others run upstairs, but it turns out to be Kyle. The women conclude that it wasn't Kyle or Megan, it sounded like the devil's voice and he was calling Will. Kyle recounts the situation as before the housing was turned over to student needs. This is where Will snacked on his mother's milk with her meat. In 1991 Will was given a Christmas card, along with love from his mother and stepfather. He received a telescope along with which he peeked at someone else's well-to-do family. Downstairs, the same procedure took place, however more creepy, as the mother shakes on her daughter in fear so that she likes the doll, but the daughter does not appreciate the toy, and at the time the mother heads into the kitchen, while Agnes observes Willa behind the Christmas tree. The mother has started cooking, however, Will calls on the red phone and says that she is now his family, and of course the mother does not find her daughter and heads to the attic with her stepfather. However, there is dead silence. There is instant screaming below, and Will has already finished Agnes and eats her eye and then deals with the stepfather, and the mother deserves worse, so he chokes her and then, by beating her with a rolling pin, cuts out the forms from her skin and bakes them in the oven. When the police come to the house, they catch him consuming cookies from his mother. Willie is confirmed insane, and her sister manages to stay alive and is sent to an orphanage, but no one takes her. Even it turns out that her real daddy is her brother Will, and a little later the girl escapes. During Kyle's narration, knocks are heard downstairs. The women notice Claire's sister there, which they were not warned about, and Kyle stops Kelly in front of Megan's laptop, where his adult video with Megan is, and he suggests that she simply call Megan. While the women are trying to figure out if it really is Sister Claire, Kelly tries to call Megan, and behind them a button falls off the wall in the hole Will is watching from. Lee finds a present under the Christmas tree along with a note from Will, and there turns out to be a toy belonging to Agnes. And Kelly was about to open Megan's laptop, but Kyle is afraid and recommends we call the police, as a knocking sound is heard from upstairs. Heather realizes it's the 91 papers and goes to Eva's room, who is obsessed with Will, and Kyle is still freaked out that Kelly is afraid of the sounds from upstairs. Lauren is downstairs getting sick, and Lee is looking at things Claire left behind. But suddenly the lights go out in the house and the laptop shows Kyle making love to Megan, so she immediately makes a scene. And Heather searches in Eva's room, the same hole in which we saw her mother burying the body, and finds a box there that contained newspaper clippings and something monstrous, but her cell phone ran out. Kyle is chased away, and Kelly is introduced to Lee, who notices an oddity. The lights work in the adjoining house and they don't, so the girls decide to send Dana outside to turn on the switch in the switchboard. And Lauren has taken out all the waste and accidentally chipped a tile, under which there is a hole. Her friend undoubtedly helped her turn on the shower and left the room, and Will can be seen in the gap, being interrupted watching, but he has a backup. When Lauren finishes, he quickly moves through the vent and Lauren is put to bed. And Dana goes outside, and when a lucky drop puts out her cigarette, she throws it into a hole in the floor, but she hears movement sounds there and comes down the stairs to check it out. It turns out that what Heather found in Eva's room was the eyes of a doll they had seen before, and Dana was checking under the threshold, and it turns out to be not Will at all. The maiden managed to hurt her, but she lost in the fight. Lee explores the apartment looking for her sister and stumbles then to a scary Santa mask, then is about to climb into the attic, while Kelly's phone rings with Dana's number and a long voice asks her to get ready for Will's arrival. The women instantly run outside to look for their friend, but Heather goes off with Lee to check on Eva's car, which there's no way she should be here by now. Outside the house, Kelly stumbles and observes bloody footprints on the grate, and when Heather opens the door, Eva's head falls out of it. They quickly return to the house and call the police, but they can only come in 2 hours, so they intend to fight the enemy, but Miss Meg and Heather intend to get out. But the snow must be removed from the car, so Meg leaves the car, and Will's eyes show from inside, and immediately blood splatters all over the interior. Mrs. Meg backs up and her skull is crushed by an icicle. The women were watching the back of the car and didn't see what happened, so they leave to see what happened. Girl doesn't waste a moment and gets rid of Melissa first and then Lauren. And Lee at that moment slips in the blood and tries to kick the gate, but on the other side they are propped up by Mrs. Meg's body. When they return to the room, they try to find out from Lauren where Melissa is, but Kyle walks into the room and defends himself against the girl, and she falls down next to Lauren and they observe that she has no eyes. And Kelly calls Melissa's phone and reveals that Will is now over them along with her phone. Kyle immediately offers run away, but the girlfriends are inclined only to save their almost sisters, and Kyle has no choice but to help them. When he gets up, he is grabbed by the head and manages to dodge the decisive blow and get off the attic door. Then the girls make their way upstairs and rescue Kyle. They fail, and the killer in their house is Agnes, who rips out Kyle's eyes and shows the girls her family, in which they must be too. But Lee instantly falls down and Kelly has to fight an insane woman whom Kelly herself pokes out her eye and realizes it is Agnes, but attempts to convince her that she is not her family. Fail. She summons her father Will, who is going to help her daughter in the murder, but Agnes fell in between the walls with Kelly, and that's when Lee woke up. She found the wall Kelly was in and broke it down, and Will, who was trying to catch her, was burned alive by a Christmas tree that fell from the attic. And it seems to be a happy ending, but no, the paparazzi blow a huge bubble around this situation concerning the deception of the country about Will and Agnes' death. But at the same moment in the morgue, an employee hears sounds from packages, and it turns out to be Will, who instantly gets rid of the man. Lee discovers in the room with Kelly a gift from his sister Claire. A magnificent watch engraved with the inscription "Family Forever" shows out of the box. Will, meanwhile, sneaks back into the ceiling, and Kelly is taken away for tests. Lee is left waiting for her in the room, but she hears noises upstairs. Consequently, she follows them, and in the hallway she hears that Kelly is back, but in fact Agnes meets her in the room and promises to be family forever. She breaks her neck. Kelly, meanwhile, is returned to the room, and the nurse notices a broken knob that doesn't open the first time, and Kelly almost immediately finds a bloody watch part under her pillow and hears noises behind the screen. Nothing was found there, but blood was beginning to leak from the lamp, and the door to the exit was jammed again. Kelly then decides to call for help, but the doctors on duty were listening to Christmas greetings and didn't hear the call, and Kelly had to fight Agnes with a defibrillator. But that's not the end. Will gets out to help, but Will follows on her heels, and they have a fight in the hallway. But when the girl runs out onto the landing, she successfully topples him onto the tree, and he dies. Happy New Year!